Let's talk about Netflix's new comedy, You People, and is it any good? Here's my review of You People. So, You People was directed by Kenya Barris, Enemy of the State. No, really. A lot of people do come down, particularly Black Twitter, come down on Kenya Barris because lately he's done a lot of projects that center mixed race couples. He is the creator of Blackish, Grownish, Black AF, Mixedish, and even threatened us with Brownish, which he was co-creating with Eva Longoria. I don't know. Maybe that project's dead in the water. We'll see. I think that he should develop a story around Ruby and Dre's characters, with him growing up in Compton, called Hoodish. But anyway, Kenya Barris, despite the discourse online, really is talented. He's a talented writer and he's a talented creator. He co-wrote this film with Jonah Hill, who's the star. That was my apprehension with this project because, first of all, it's titled You People, and he did admit that this was a title that Netflix fought for. I think the title is trash, but okay, I got over that. I watched this film 3 times this weekend trying to find a way to love it because you have comedy legends Eddie Murphy and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who they were 2 years together on SNL. They're comedy gods, right? And then you have pretty much the queen of black cinema, Nia Long. You got Lauren London, David Duchovny, Rhea Perlman, Dion Cole's in it, and Mike Epps, among many others. So that you hear these names attached to a project and you're in. And I figured, okay, let me give this a try. I saw the Rotten Tomato scores and I said, no, let me see what I can pull from this and really like. This story follows Jonah Hill, who plays Ezra, and Lauren London, who plays Amira. Lauren London's character, Amira, is a Muslim, and Jonah Hill's character, Ezra, is a Jewish man. Now, Ezra is supposed to be a culture critic, a black culture critic, but he doesn't feel comfortable in black spaces. Even the co-hosts he shares this podcast with, called Mo Easy. So he is very uncomfortable and not natural, but he's supposed to have his finger on the pulse of black culture, shoes, fashion, music. But he is so uncomfortable around Amira's family. He's uncomfortable in barbershops, and he is friends with racially insensitive people, and his family, Jewish liberals, are uncomfortable around black people, as if they've never been around black people who are like on their level. Like they come off as if black people or people of color are inferior to them. Now, that was the goal, and I think Julia Louis-Dreyfus does a good job portraying this liberal who wants to, or believes she's supposed to, embrace this black Muslim woman who's supposed to marry her son, her only son. So the intentionality behind this was to make this an updated version of Guess Who and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, in this new fever-pitched climate where there's so much division in America and around the world with Black Lives Matter and so forth. So the intention was to embrace the differences and the similarities between black people, Jewish people, white people, even Muslims. But the story, it just falls apart. The plots are really dry and dead. I loved some of the character work though. I think Lauren London, her, when I look at her facial expressions, I really think she took this role very seriously, and she plays around the way girl, around the way chick. I think she plays that character really well. Murphy's character Akbar isn't introduced for 16 minutes, so we're on our almost to the second act, and until he's introduced. Okay. He wasn't the Eddie Murphy we're used to. He wasn't the party all the time Eddie Murphy. He, to me, channeled Charlie Murphy. In this one, he felt like Charlie Murphy's little brother. So Eddie Murphy's comedic timing is like, especially his stand-up, where he works the entire stage. He uses the entire stage to tell the story, to tell the joke. He uses the entire stage and the mic and really works it in that way as a showman. Charlie Murphy's style of comedy was to let the joke breathe, to tell the story and paint the picture. He was a fantastic storyteller, where as he told the story, you felt like you were there. And I feel like that's the Eddie Murphy we got in this film. It felt a little off because it felt like he was channeling his late brother, Charlie Murphy. In a lot of the projects Eddie Murphy has been a part of, he has improvised, and I felt like there was no improv here, that he used the lines that Jonah Hill and Kenya Barris wrote. And that might have been why it felt a little off. Now, his lines are funny. He does deliver them, the punchline and the timing work, but again, it works as if Charlie Murphy were delivering them and not how Eddie Murphy would. JLD, I think she did a great job. She is good at this type of comedy where her eyes does a lot of work, and she is in on the self-deprecation, and I think it works. She was very funny. Rhea Perlman is she's not even used. She's so underutilized. She may be in she's in 2 scenes, 3 scenes maybe in the entire film. And even Nia Long. Now, Nia Long has the funniest line that I liked when she says, baby, get my purse. I have my slave receipts in my purse. That was hilarious, the way she delivered that, but she's underutilized here. Now, David Duchovny is also underutilized, but he maximizes every scene. So he uses that to his advantage. He knows he's being underutilized. He's just the dad. He's the doctor who's always around feet, and he's obsessed with the rapper Exhibit. So he really is funny in the film. And then Jonah Hill. So Jonah Hill, his character, the way that he delivers his jokes, classic Jonah Hill, where he doesn't let him breathe. It seems like they're run-on sentences. So the punchline is there, but he moves right on because he's not begging for the laugh. And that's what he delivered here. What they're selling us on really with this story is that, similar to Knocked Up, where you had Seth Rogen and Katherine Heigl. Seth Rogen is a schlub who has been living off $20,000 for 4 years, a slacker really. And Katherine Heigl has bigger aspirations. She's working at E or whatever. And I think that's what they were going for here. They were going for that despite the backgrounds, that they could still make a love connection. That is the essence of what was going on here. Despite all of the outside work, all of the outside noise, that they could find peace in a relationship. And I don't think that part was believable. Not based on how Jonah Hill looks and how Lauren London looks. I think it's more of these are culture clashes, and those hurdles are almost impossible to overcome. You could keep them dormant for a very long time, but eventually the pressure rises. Eventually it comes to the surface and you have to deal with it. And I think that was the larger idea. The chemistry throughout wasn't necessarily believable between Lauren London and Jonah Hill. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's no romance really. They skip all of that. And I understand that Lauren London's protecting her space. I totally understand that. We get where it was supposed to go, but it does cheapen the story a lot to not see that there was any real connection and chemistry between them. It really hurdles over all of that. And then in the end, we're supposed to believe that their parents put their wedding together and they just get married despite having a 3-month separation on some really serious, because of some really serious issues. He wanted the shock value. He wants people to talk. He wants the discourse, I believe. He wants the discourse. What I couldn't believe is that this particular man who is uncomfortable in Black spaces like the barbershop and has really racially insensitive mother, tone deaf father, and racially insensitive friends, like his entire circle are insensitive to race relations, and that he would be able to snag someone like Lauren London, whose finger was on the pulse and who is Muslim and so forth, and who's really in touch with the Black community. That seemed unrealistic to me. There were 4 scenes where I laughed so hard. The Vegas scene, where they're talking about the cocaine. The dinner scene, which is so funny. I had to rewind like at least 3 or 4 times because Nia Long really, and that's a conversation we really do need to have. That's an important conversation, and I thought that was so funny. And of course, the car scenes. There are car scenes where Lauren London's character is hanging out with JLD's character, and Eddie Murphy is hanging out. Eddie Murphy's character is hanging out with Jonah Hill. Those transition back and forth, they were really funny. The barbershop scene, which is in the trailer, is definitely funny. Let's talk about the style of it. So Kenya Barris comes from not just, so a lot of his projects have been TV series. So his aesthetic remained there, even though this is his directorial debut. He filmed this like a single camera comedy. It really felt like there were supposed to be laugh tracks in this film, because that's how he shot it. So the style and the transitions are not, it just felt sophomoric in many ways. The title cards are like graffiti, and I understand that this is, as he said, a love letter to LA culture, to this culture here. But he had like these graffiti title cards that aren't really legible. He has like graffiti for his title cards, and then the transition shots, when they didn't dissolve, were like these Polaroid texturized collages of scenes encapsulated on the screen. That was really, those graphics just didn't measure up to the type of story he wanted to tell. But as the shots transitioned, the music blended in with the transitions, I think worked. It was very hip and it was very new age. I did like the score for the film. And there was a really nice dedication to Nipsey Hussle, including a mural of him. The camera work just was very amateurish, like it would land on feet that just didn't move the story, move the narrative. They seemed so inconsequential and so amateurish. So that the style of the movie didn't work. But again, this is his feature film directorial debut. So okay, you're gonna make these kinds of style mistakes. The tone also was off. Now, I had reviewed the trailer to this film and noticed, and the teaser trailer, and noticed that there were some reshoots, particularly when Eddie Murphy's character Akbar tells his wife, who played by Nia Long, that her grandfather was white because of the discourse behind the fact that Kenya Barris does use a lot of mixed actresses or light-skinned actresses in the roles of his projects, but well, recently, but there was some discourse around uh, Eddie Murphy's character and Nia Long's character having a mixed race daughter, Lauren London, who is mixed race in real life. And so you can tell that there was a reshoot when Eddie Murphy throws in your white grandfather. At any rate, the story was told so, like, the story wasn't told, it didn't unfold naturally, it seemed forced. He knew that a lot of people would not believe that Jonah Hill, the way he looked in the film cosmetically, wouldn't be able to pull Lauren London's character cosmetically. That wasn't a big thing for me. My thing was that someone who, an aspiring podcaster who was supposed to be a culture critic, felt so uncomfortable around her family. I really need Kenya Barris to step it up because, again, this was a little amateurish. It was some lazy writing. I don't think that he maximized the use of Eddie Murphy. I really don't think that he did. And he didn't maximize or capitalize on the fact that JLD and Eddie Murphy shared 2 years on SNL, and there should have been more for them. Comedy legends should have been more for them to really sink their teeth into, and I don't think that was capitalized on. That's my take. At any rate, You People is streaming on Netflix now.